Okay. She's not ready yet. Okay, that's okay. I'm scared too. So during worship, uh, I seen our church, every one of y'all, every person that's in this room today. There's actually some other people that I've seen, they're not here this morning. But we had been sitting at a train station for a while. And it was a little awkward. If you're at a train station or the airport, it's a little strange because everybody doesn't want to talk, right? So we get on these things, right? So we can ignore these people because God doesn't love them, right? He only loves us. And let's build my portfolio or whatever I'm doing. I'm just being honest. That's the battle for every human. I can get on this or I can get to know the Lord. This is terrible. This happens probably every week to all of us. So we had been sitting at this train station and we had broke through that awkwardness, where the awkwardness is, and life began to happen. And we had forgotten about these. Isn't that strange how that happens? That I don't know if these things dominate you like they dominate me, but they just dominate. They have that pull on us, right? Most everything we do is right here, right? These things. They're not idols, right? I won't meddle. Anyways, so we were, I ain't going there. Well, this is church. I don't want to meddle. We're all good, right? So, anyways, everybody just wants a good message. See you later. Bye. Right. Okay. All right. Anyways, that's what I want. I'm just kidding. So listen. That's right. Piccadilly stays open. I'm just kidding. So we had worked through that awkwardness, and we began to lose sight of time. That's when you're getting there, right? You have began to figure out, man, this is amazing. Way better than this thing. Wow. I don't have to look at their life. I can talk to them. This is so weird. The train pulls up. Jesus. Jesus is the train. And he took us to another destination, our next destination, which I don't know what that is. But the Lord was happy that he could take us to the next destination. So everybody in here, y'all are a part of this church, and we are going to the next destination. I don't know what that is, but we will find out as long as we stay on the train. If you open the door of the train in real life, it's not going to go well for you, correct? It's probably going to be a little bumpy. So we are in community. We are in family together. We are becoming family. I'll say that. Family to me is when you show up at my house unannounced. Correct? That's what it used to be. And you were like, oh, hey, I'll knock next time. Lord, put a shirt on, boy. But that's okay. All right, so she is staring. You see that window? No, we have been having people over a lot this week. And if you have kids, small children, and you have people over, it's a lot, right? It's a bunch, right? It make you uncomfortable, right? Your house is going to get messy. You clean it up, you get it ready, then you have a party, then you clean up again, and then you go to sleep because you're exhausted. Your body cannot handle anymore. Then you wake up and you do it all over again, right? Yes. That's good. That's a good thing. When we moved into our house, the Lord told me, John, this is heaven. Don't keep people out of it. And I said, that is not nice. This is my heaven, right? This is my precious. This is my safe place. But you know what the safe place is? Y'all. That's a safe place. Does that make sense? Anyways, I won't meddle. Okay. The Lord started speaking rest to me. So if you want to write a message title down, you can write rest, wait, and listen to the Lord. Them words are not good words in the church community, okay? I will be honest. This will not be a majorly broadcasted sermon. When you say rest, they cut the phone off. I cut the phone off because rest can be dangerous. It could lead to you having to do nothing. That's not very cool, right? I don't know about y'all. That's not very exciting, right? It doesn't pump up your spiritual ego pride thing, right? It's just part of it. Whether we know it or not, we're exhausted. We're mentally exhausted. And we can't go forward unless we rest, unless we wait on the Lord. Because I don't know about y'all, we can think about some great ideas and they're not the Lord, and we figure it out at the end. That's not the Lord. And I am tired, frustrated, and now people are mad at me. Y'all have probably never done that. That's good. That's great. Praise God. All right. So when I heard the word rest a few weeks ago, I was like, oh, what's fixing to happen? I know what happened last time. Well, this time I got food poisoning. That's a great kind of rest. You know, that's what everybody wants, correct? You're resting by yourself, correct? Yeah. Well, I rested at the ER as well, too. Drove myself up there at 2 in the morning because I just couldn't handle no more. I couldn't take no more. And then I had to come home at 4:30 in the morning. You know, it's great. And it's just part of it. It wasn't what I wanted rest to be. What does rest look like to y'all? Maybe Key West, you know, sitting on the beach, watching the dolphins jump over the sharks, you know, and just great times, right? Well, I'm sure that is part of rest. Just wasn't part of my rest. The only thing I was thinking about was, Lord, help me. Help me, Lord. I want to please stop being sick. I don't want to be sick. But if I'm not sick, I'm probably doing what? I'm probably going, right? Probably on, well, what's the next thing? Let's knock the to-do list out. Have y'all ever exhausted some energy on a to-do list? Whose to-do list is that? It's yours. It's not the Lord's to-do list. All right, anyways, I better not meddle because I'm going to get myself in trouble, and I'm going to tell on myself. Rest to me, this is what rest to me. I'm a little old country boy, so drinking on the back porch, drinking some sweet tea where there's no cell phone signal. That's rest. And I get irritated because there's no cell phone signal, but then I know it's rest time. Resting is agony for the busy, control perfectionist. And I am all three. Right? I'm blessed. Busy, control perfectionist. I learned that in the work world. Busy, control perfectionist. That's how you produce products. Right? And what does the world want? Products. And they want them fast, and they want double. They want them yesterday. Rest sets all your efforts on the cross. You have to rely on the movement of Jesus, and he is never in a hurry. I've tried to motivate Jesus before to hey, I think it's time. I have tried to adrenaline Jesus. Oh, it's 8 and it's 8 o'clock. It's time to move, right? It doesn't work like that. He moves when he's ready. And I've tried to force him to move. I've tried to force him to move in other people's lives. And that works great, right? Excellent. Great transformation, lasts eternity. I've probably ruined more relationships that way. It's the wildest thing. But walking with him and knowing that he walked with me for so many years, let's say decades, and he wasn't trying to move me. He was just walking with me. This moved me. It didn't force me to change. It beckoned me to change. That's what kills me about the Lord is he doesn't force. He just beckons. Oh, that you would come over here and walk a different path with me. When we rest, this gets our hearts in alignment with him. Believe it or not, have you ever been hungry for the Lord? You know, like maybe you went to a church camp when you were younger and you were like, we're on fire, you know, you're jumping up and down and you've lost your mind, which is not bad. It's not a bad thing, you know. Or you just kind of lost your dignity a little bit, you know. Like, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but jumping is a little. I mean, it's going to take me a minute to jump. You know, I'm going to have to work through this thing right here. You know, I don't know about y'all, but I mean, I just don't go around jumping. Does that make sense? Do y'all do that? Do y'all just jump around all? I just don't do that. But if 4 or 5 people get a little undignified and act a little crazy for the Lord, I'm probably going to jump on board. I'm just saying, you know, I made a joke a while back to, I don't remember who it was, but I said, you know, I'll just make a lap in here. You know, you ever seen somebody just run around in church? You know, I mean, I get it. You know, it's a little undignified. But, you know, I mean, I was pretty bound when I was younger. Like I'm still supposed to be in jail. If the Lord did not intervene, I was supposed to be there till I was 60. I'm only 40. So I could probably make a lap and justify it and sit back down. Why'd he run? Well, that guy, he used to be a big idiot. He's still kind of an idiot. But, you know, the Lord let that boy run in the free world, you know. But I just thought to myself, when I rest, I get excited because you're sitting there thinking about what the Lord done in your life. And then you're like, wow, I don't have to want any more, even though it's okay to want more. Man, the Lord has done a lot. If he can do all this in my life and he did it as a gentleman, how can he do it in somebody else's life? That's where I get addicted, is that right there. Knowing, man, he went after me. He's probably going after little Johnny, you know. He's over there breaking into Coke machines, taking money. He's probably after little Johnny too, you know, even though little Johnny needs a whooping, but he's probably after him too. So when you start getting that yearning for the Lord, like there's nothing that there's nothing that can compete with that feeling. And not that we're feeling chasers, but being in alignment with Jesus, if he says rest and you start doing that, there is no other place that's going to do. You meeting with him, inviting you to meet with him, there is nothing else. I used to try to make him meet with me. Hey, you know, I'd wake up early, boom, out. I would just fall asleep, pass out. And I'm like, Lord, I passed out. He's like, I didn't draw you. Well, I was drawing you. You know, it's not like that. So I don't know. I wasn't a rule follower. Does that make sense? I didn't follow rules. You know, I was kind of like routine. Lord, I'm gonna be right here, and you show up when I show up. Right? That's just not how it works. What gets him? This is what gets him on my end, in my experience. If you will sit there and keep waiting on him and he doesn't come, that'll get him. Not that I'm out to get him, but it's like have you ever seen a dog? Let me bring you back to a movie. I'm trying to think of the exact name of the movie. So this dog was really, really close to this owner for a lot of years. I mean, this dog went everywhere with him. Jack and Stacy are looking like we know what movie it is. So it's a big dog, big, good-looking dog. Well, the guy dies. He was sitting at a train station. What's funny is he would sit at a train station, wait on the train. The dog would sit there. Whenever he would get out of work, the dog would be sitting right there waiting on him, walking back to the house. The guy dies at work. The dog's still sitting there. Night goes by. The dog's still sitting there. Day comes. The dog's still sitting there. The dog sat there until the dog died. This is years. So they have a statue of where the dog would sit. But the dog was faithful to sit and wait. Always waiting. Just waiting for orders. And I don't know about y'all, but I don't sit and wait very long. Does that make sense? I don't really know anybody that does. I can think of probably a few people on my hand, my father-in-law being one of them, that can just sit and wait, and he's okay. I don't know if I was just not born like that, or it's an ADHD thing. I could find a whole bunch of excuses to stick in there, but sitting and waiting on the Lord, to me, is worship. It's letting him know, I want to know your heart. Sitting and waiting with your wife or your husband, that's a different level of love. You know, most of the time when Christine's talking to me, I'm walking. You know, do y'all do this? And I'll get to a point where I can't hear her, and I'll have to kind of turn back, and I'm like, I'm still listening. She's like, yeah, but you're walking the other direction. Right? And she knows, John, I need your eyes. She's not lying. She knows. If she doesn't have my focus, she doesn't have my ears, she don't have my heart, right? Because I'm going another direction. But I wonder if we do this with the Lord. I know I do this, right? Being busy can really cost you a lot. It can. It has cost me a lot. I've been busy before. I painted a car. I didn't put any hardener in the clear. And I actually paid over $700 to do that job. So not only did I make no profit, I actually paid to do the job. If you don't put hardener in clear, it will never dry. And you can't get it off, so you have to throw the bumper in the trash. It's like throwing something away with Gorilla Glue on it, because it never dries. So that, what I would say, that was called distraction. And when you're busy, you get distracted and then you get weak. And usually when you're like that, that's usually when there's going to be a large error of some sort. That's just me from experience. Probably not y'all. I don't know. Christine will let me know. Hey, slow it down. Yes, ma'am. I know. You know, up here, if I don't slow it down, there's going to be some turbulence, right? And I'll probably be short fused. Y'all probably aren't short fused, are you? I don't know. What about y'all? Okay, so we're going to go into the Bible, and we're going to open this Bible up. And this is going to be Exodus 16:16. This talks about the Lord giving instructions, and some people listened and had a great time. Other people did not listen, and they didn't have such a good time. So Moses said to them, "It is the food the Lord has given you to eat. These are the Lord's instructions. Each household should gather as much as it needs. Pick up 2 quarts for each person in their tent." So the people of Israel did just like they were told. Some gathered a lot, some gathered a little. But when they measured it out, everybody had just enough. Those who gathered a lot had nothing left over, and those who had a little had enough. Each family had just what they needed. Then Moses told them, "Do not keep any of it until morning." But some of them did not listen, and they kept some of it until morning. By then it was full of maggots and had a terrible smell. Moses was very angry with them, which I would be angry if I were the people if I had maggots. So, that would be a bad scenario. After this, the people gathered the food morning by morning, each family according to its need. And as the sun became hot, the flakes had not picked up The flakes they had not picked up melted, and they disappeared. On the sixth day, they gathered twice as much as usual, 4 quarts for each person instead of 2. Then all the leaders of the community came and asked Moses for an explanation. He said, "This is what the Lord commanded. Tomorrow will be a day of complete rest, a holy Sabbath day set apart for the Lord. So bake or boil as much as you want today and set aside what is left for tomorrow." So they put aside some until morning, just as Moses had commanded. In the morning, the leftover food was wholesome and good, without maggots or odor. Moses said, "Eat this food today, for this is a Sabbath day dedicated to the Lord. There will be no food on the ground today. You may gather the food for 6 days, but the seventh is the Sabbath. There will be no food on the ground that day." Some of the people went out on the seventh day, but there was no food to be found. The Lord asked Moses, "How long will these people refuse to obey my commands and instructions? They must realize that the Sabbath is the Lord's gift to you. That is why he gives you a 2-day supply on the 6th day, so there will be enough for 2 days. On the Sabbath day, you must each stay in your place. Do not go out to pick up food on the 7th day." So the people did not gather on the 7th day. So I have read this scripture for a whole bunch of years. And here's what I thought. I ain't doing nothing on Sunday. Anybody calls me, I ain't doing nothing. You ain't calling me. I ain't talking to you. The Lord said it's a rest day. I don't have to talk to you. I don't have to do anything around the house. Do you know how long that lasted? It did for a while until I got married. You have to wash dishes on Sunday, on the Sabbath. That's work. So, all right, that's this ditch over here, right? Right? There's a street, and then there's another ditch. So then I was like, okay, let me jump in this other ditch over here. And, okay, I can do some things. I just don't have to be in a hurry, right? I don't have to be in a hurry or get in a panic when my to-do list is not done or whatever. I don't know about y'all, but, there's things you got to do on the weekends. You got to wash clothes. 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 And then you can do the yard. And then you got to wash the car, right? There's all these things that fit into this category called maintenance and responsibility, right? I don't even want to go into times where Tom would clean his tools, all that, reset. Everybody's trying to reset, right? For the next week, right? You got to have clean clothes, right? That's a must. So where I came to rest is a gift from God, which I didn't think it was a gift from God, but rest gives you new strength, a new mind. That way you're not just working yourself just killing yourself. Have you ever seen that video where the guy is running and hanging on his back is $1 and he's running and chasing $1 and he's going to get it, right? And then eventually he doesn't get it and his body just gives out and he falls into a hole and dies. That's not the Lord's plan for us. Just run ourselves into the ground, right? What I got from it is trust what the Lord gives you. Trust it. For me, that was fire. For me, if I get slow painting cars, I work at the fire station and then I do cars. Well, if I get slow, I used to get really nervous. Oh, Lord, what am I going to do? Well, I'm just going to go out and do a little marketing, right? A little marketing. Well, the Lord was saying, hey, brother, you need to take a break. Be with your family. Take care of some stuff around the house, like your wife told you to fix that thing on the back of the door, and you ain't done that in a month. Anyway, I think she muted that thing in there. Fix that, and whenever you're all settled, I'll send you some more work, right? That makes sense. That would be what a good daddy does, I would assume. Because if you just work yourself into the ground, you ain't got no time, to fix the stuff around your house. If you're fixing this guy asked me the other day, John, you don't have a door handle on your car, but you work on cars. I was like, yeah. Ask every person. The plumber, he's got a messed up toilet at his house, but everybody else's toilet's great. You know, right? I mean, so the Lord gives you a break not to go and get more work, but to take care of stuff at the house. And he is more involved in your work than you know. I've tested this out. I probably shouldn't. I'm a limit pusher. Have you ever pushed the limits just to see what the Lord would do or say? I push limits because I hear his voice like that sometimes, you know? And I tried to overschedule one of these jobs. The lady ghosted me. I ordered her parts. They never came in and she ghosted me. He didn't want me to have the job. I was so mad. I don't know if that ever happens to y'all, but he'll only allow me to have we can only handle so much. You know, in our minds, we may want to be a multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar organization, but that's just not the case. You know, that's not our identity. Our identity is with Jesus. He gives us every single thing we have. What we have now is where he can trust us. That's a hard statement. I asked him, I was like, this other painter right here is making over $100,000 and I'm making like 60. He said, I can trust him with 100. I can't trust you with 100 yet. This is 15 years ago. So just know wherever you're at, that's where the Lord trusts you. He may trust you with 2 people right now. He may trust you with 10 people, bless you. Whatever you have, he trusts that you're going to take care of what he gave you. That's not in the message, but it is in the message. All right, I'm going to skip down to, okay, all right. This is Matthew 11:27. All right, it says, I'll give everybody a little bit of time if you want to turn there or click there or however. All right, this says, my Father has entrusted everything to me. No one truly knows the Son except the Father, and no one truly knows the Father except the Son, and those to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Then Jesus said, come to me, all who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Let me teach you, because I am humble and gentle at heart, and you will find rest for your souls, for my yoke is easy to bear, and the burden I give you is light. Every one of us in this room have carried burdens that weren't ours at some point, and what I can tell you is when I did that, I said, this is terrible. This is not the Lord. But anything that he's given me, you would think that I should be stressed, but I'm not. That is what he gives us. I used to live in Minnesota next to a Mayo house. It was a Mayo patient house. And the couple, they were the same age as me and Christine, pretty close. And the guy had cancer. He was in his 40s. He used to play pro baseball. Just nice people. Had a young kid. And I was driving to work one day, and I started feeling this weight come on me. You know, it wasn't bad. I could just feel like a weight had been put on me a little bit. And I said, Lord, what is this heaviness that I feel? And, you know, it's like, do I need to pray for him, or did they go to a doctor's appointment or something and they get some bad news? You know, I mean, I'm sure that's pretty normal. You know, anybody gets bad news, it's going to be a heavy weight. And then you sort through all that, you get your faith going, and then you're okay, right? The Lord said, John, I've given you half of his burden because he couldn't carry it all. And so that was a different feeling. It wasn't horrible to me, but it would have been horrible to him. It would have been too much. And so I began to think the Lord doesn't give us more than we can handle, right? He gives the other half that you can't to somebody else. He didn't tell that guy, hey, Mr. Steve, you can't carry all this. I'm going to give it to your neighbor. He didn't tell him that. But what I can tell you is me and him began to talk a lot, and it kind of just started to happen. We would talk a lot. He would tell me, hey, here's the new update. Here's the new update. Here's the new update. Well, long story short, I'll fast forward it. This guy was sitting in his living room one day, and he was sitting at his kitchen table, and he had fell asleep. He had stage 4 lung cancer. Sitting, just sitting at the table, fell asleep. Probably tired from the medicine or the chemo or something. And he had this dream that an angel had showed up to him with one of the pastors that he did not like. What heck of a dream, right? I don't like that guy. The angel, he's kind of neutral, right? I don't. He didn't have a name tag, so he had a dream, and it impacted him like something serious. And his wife interpreted that as he's fixing to pass away. He's fixing to pass. This angel showed up to him, and he was just like, wow, that he got born again at the kitchen table. And he was not prior born again. He would quote the scriptures and give the wife a couple of left hooks, but he was not born again. There was no heart transformation. But after that, he repented to the wife, he repented to the daughter, and he was like, he was different. Well, all the time up until then, my wife, his wife, we had been praying for this guy every day, just praying, fighting for him. Well, I'll say fighting for him. We were carrying the burden. We were all carrying it together. So he danced with his wife in his room at the hospital, and he said, I've never danced with you, and I want to do that with, they just danced in the room. He's wearing oxygen, and he said, I know this oxygen is what's keeping me alive, but I will see you on the other side, and we will dance. And he rips the air off. That was it. So sometimes the burden gets passed over between all of us. At some point, the Lord may say, hey, I need you to pray for Jack Dent. Okay. Lord, help Jack Dent. I don't know. And then it pushes us through, right? But we don't know that that's happening. I don't text him. Well, maybe I will every once in a while. Hey, prayed for you. The first thing I think, you prayed for me. Well, shoot, let me send you a list. Hold up now. Let me send you a list of things, right? Because I've been navel gazing, right? Tearing myself apart. Well, these are the things the Lord needs to fix, right? Well, them things are fixing me, right? All them things, Miss Pat, right? All them weeds, they're fixing the inside of me. I don't like the weeds, but the weeds are helping me to be new. So I want to say something that I have never seen in the Bible. I have never seen this. The Lord showed up in this story because I was reading it because I was walking through something, and it was very similar to this story, and I was trying to figure out. Right? That's what isn't that where we mess up? We try and figure it all out. So, so after I had so frustrated because I couldn't figure it out, I went to the Bible, right? Why didn't I go there in the first place? You will learn by the Spirit how to be with those who may gossip about you. They seek to criticize you and seek to watch you suffer. There are going to be people like that in your life. Isn't that crazy? That'll bust the bubble, right? The bless me bubble's gone. But it's the Lord. Isn't that wild? Allow this to mature you and look upon Jesus to see if you're doing the same things they're doing to you. That's terrible. This helps you walk in the Spirit. Because you want to walk in the flesh, I'm going to tell you. You do. Oh, really? Oh, I got something for that, right? I don't know. Y'all probably ain't like me. I mean, I grew up in the streets. What? Oh, hold up. I've been looking for this. I'm coming to your house. Here's what I learned. Jesus prayed for Judas. He wished that he would repent, but Judas chose to sell the Lord, his friend, for gain. All right. I'm going to read the story. And this blew my brains, my little old pea brain. Boop, blew it. Matthew 26:14. This is the story of Judas. Then Judas, one of the 12 disciples, went to the leading priests and asked, "How much will you pay me to betray Jesus to you?" They gave him 30 pieces of silver. From that time on, Judas began looking for an opportunity to betray Jesus. So here's the Last Supper. On the first day of the festival of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Where do you want us to prepare the Passover meal for you? As you go into the city," he told them, "you will see a certain man. Tell him, the teacher says, my time has come, and I will eat the Passover meal with my disciples at your house." Remember that he says, "my disciples at your house." So the disciples did just like they were told. They prepared the Passover meal there. When it was evening, Jesus sat down at the table with the 12. While they were eating, he says, "I tell you the truth, one of you will betray me." Greatly distressed, each one of them said, "What? Am I the one, Lord?" He replied, "One of you has just eaten from this bowl eaten from this bowl with me will betray me, for the Son of Man must die. Because he said it was time, right? It was time, right? As the scripture declared long ago, but how terrible it will be for the one who betrays me. It will be far better for that man if he had never been born. Judas, the one who would betray him, also asked, "Rabbi, am I the one?" And Jesus told him, "You have said it." As they were eating, Jesus took some bread, he blessed it, he broke it into pieces, and gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take this and eat it, for this is my body." And he took a cup of wine, he gave thanks to God for it. He gave it to them and said, "Each of you drink from it, for this is my blood, which confirms the covenant between God and his people. It is poured out as a sacrifice to forgive the sins of many. Mark my words, I will not drink wine again until the day I drink it with you in my Father's kingdom." They sang a hymn, went out to the Mount of Olives, and then he told them, y'all are going to all desert me, right? This whole thing that we built and we've been walking together, it's all coming down. This is it. So for us to have the power of the cross that we have today, Jesus needed a Judas in his life. There's no way he could have died without Judas. I mean, there was another way, but he needed Judas. He said, "My friend." At the end, this is what he said, or right whenever the people came to arrest him, he said, "You will know which one to arrest when I greet him with a kiss." So Judas came straight to Jesus. "Greetings, Rabbi," he exclaimed, and gave him a kiss. Jesus said, "My friend, go ahead and do what you've come for." He still called the enemy a friend. So in our life, we're going to run across some Judases. I've been a Judas, and I've had some other Judases. But you know what's wild? Is most of us are still friends today. Isn't that wild? I only have one friend, and we've been friends since I was 6. My Huntington math is failing me. Over 30 years. He's never been a Judas to me. He's been faithful to me. He's walked with me my whole life. To me, he's been the Lord to me. What's funny is I try to share Laura with him. Anyways, I won't go there. We need a Judas so our flesh can be put to death. If we aren't allowing our flesh to be put to death, Judas will come. And he will help us like Jesus. He helped him on the cross. He said it was time. The spirit of this world wants to get a whirlwind spinning over us. Right, Miss Pat? That was at SOS. It was like a whirlwind. I don't know about y'all, but I mean, it's just like a whirlwind just trying to take our peace and joy and just get us going, right? We got to get going. If you look at the TV, we got to get going. What are we going to get going doing? I don't even know. So at the fire station, I'm always cutting the TV. We're going to watch Bluey or something. We're going to watch something. Now, I mean, I don't even know what to do because I can look at it and go, okay, but I don't even know. I mean, I believe in being prepared, but prepared for what? I don't even know what it's talking about. I sat there for hours one day and I was just like, guys, I am just so fearful. I mean, I'm going to crawl in the fire truck and just lock the doors, and they're like, let's cut Bluey on. So we just started watching Bluey, I mean, so that whirlwind seeks to keep us scared, Now, I sure believe in praying for whoever our president. I believe in it. No matter if he knows we're praying for him or not. I don't know. I just have to go to the book, and go, I don't know what all's going on. I don't even know what part is truth that they're talking about. I mean, but the whirlwind that's always spinning is trying to get in here and in here. And it's trying to take all, it's just trying to take all our peace away. It is. That's what I told my dad. My dad writes letters to the president. He's a veteran. He writes letters. I said, Dad, just sit on the back porch with the Lord. And whatever he says, you do. I believe in watching the news. I do. But if you watch it all day, it's going to rot your brain. And I watch the news, But I just said, go sit with if you're going to watch the news, go sit with the Lord too. And weigh it out. Talk to him about it. I believe in that. Because to me, I think it was Lance Walnew. I was listening to him one day, years ago, and he said, the only thing that the news misses is the Lord's intervention. They don't know the Lord's going to intervene. And that, I had never thought about that. I just really, he's going to intervene. He will do something. You can't outwit him. You can't outplan him. I've tried to plan him. He will throw you a kink. When we meet together like this, how many of you guys, be honest, you can raise your hand. I'm going to raise my hand. When we meet together, our minds are put at rest and we're renewed when we walk out. I'm going to raise my hand. It's like a reset. I can't get this at home. Even when I watch live or online or whatever. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying. I only get this when we assemble. And we don't have to say, we're with you or we're together. When we get together, there's something that happens. I don't know how to explain it. I don't even know how to figure. It's probably a good thing that we don't know how to figure it out because we would just tear it all up and we would make a doctrine out of it, right? And if they didn't believe in our doctrine, we'd kick them out, right? We probably wouldn't kick them out. I think we're the kind of people that, hey, you just keep coming around. You can beat on us a little bit. We'll beat on you a little bit. We'll get it, Right, Dave? We'll just figure it out. All right, so I'm going to read a few more scriptures, and then I would like for us to pray for each other or whatever. Whatever. All right, Ecclesiastes 2:21. All right. It says, And then he broke us. Me and Claudia were talking about that. We don't like to be broken. You know, when we're broken, we need each other. So if we don't need each other yet, well, there's another way. I mean, I needed an ER doctor. I didn't want one. I wasn't like, at 2 o'clock tonight, I'm going to the doctor. Or 2 in the morning, whatever. It's normally unplanned. Usually when people get in the ambulance, they're like, I just didn't see this coming. I'm like, nobody ever signs up for this thing here. I promise you, nobody signs up for us. But they call. And they need us, and we need them. Right? So our 911 is Jesus. I mean, he needs us. That's crazy. Now, when I was really, 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 really prideful like years ago, I still get like that. I was like, man, the Lord's using me. This is great. Because I was just old thug. I'll wrap it up in that word, thug. And it just felt good to be needed because most people didn't want me at your house, much less have any nice things around me, Oh, you got a flat screen TV? Oh, that's nice. Yeah, how do you get? Oh, you unhook it? Okay, I got you. All right. But I was like, Lord, this is great. He goes, John, I don't actually need you like that. I just enjoy doing things with you. And it killed my pride. Killed my pride.
This just hit me when you said 911. That's Psalm 91:1. It says, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God, and in him I will trust.
That's the third scripture down from where I'm at.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Right?
Well, we covered rest before you came in here today, too.
No, that's good. I mean, we should all be hearing like that, right, Holly? If our kids are hearing like that, the Spirit usually is speaking all kinds of crazy stuff, right? No, he's speaking the same thread, right? Usually. Isn't that weird? I think it's really fun. This is it's kind of nerve wracking where you get everybody in the same room and they close their eyes and you ask them what they're hearing from the Lord. It's usually the same theme. Boy, it's scary though, boy. You talk about some nervous people. Finger biter is in there. You want an anxiety attack. It'll happen right there. But that's okay. Because you're having to dig deep. I know every time Pastor Brad's had us, hey, you get a word for somebody in this room. It gets tight and right in here, boy. But that's good because somebody that doesn't know you at all comes up and tells you what's been going on this week. That's the Lord. And that is so encouraging. You talk about that'll lift me all the way up. Like, hey, that is great. Not that it even fixed the situation. It's just that somebody knows where I'm at. God knows. And I know we say Jesus walks with us. I just don't see him there. I'm sorry. In my mind, where Jesus goes, everything is under his feet. Well, I just feel like I'm under somebody else's feet most of the time. And I'm like, well, maybe Jesus got lost. Maybe I outran him or something. But it's good to know that when you're going through a tough time or whatever's going on, he knows. He hasn't forgotten your address, All right. I was in Ecclesiastes 2:21, right? All right. So it says, some people work wisely with knowledge and skill. Then they must leave the fruit of their efforts to someone who hasn't worked for it. This too is meaningless, a great tragedy. So why do people get in this life for all their hard work and anxiety? Their days of labor are filled with pain and grief. Even at night, their minds cannot rest. It is all meaningless. So when I first got started working on cars on the side, I lived like this. I was stressed. I was anxious. Because I just thought if I don't get out there and go to work, man, we're just going to starve. But the Lord was using that to teach me that I didn't trust Him. He told me one day, one of my kids had to go to the doctor, and it was going to be astronomical. If you go to the doctor most of the time, family insurance like $2,000 a month if you got a couple of kids. Super cheap, right? Easy money, right? So when you go to the doctor, you got to pay it all, or you got to pay something. So I was sitting there, I was so mad, and the Lord said, "You wouldn't be so mad if you trusted me." And I said, "Well, I do trust you." No. You say that with these, but your heart does not say that, buddy. And he was right. He nailed me right on the head. Bing. And I said, "Okay, I don't trust you." He said, "Yeah, you don't trust me because, when you were younger, the dads in your life, they didn't really earn your trust either. And it was hard to trust them. You bounced from house to house." So, it made sense. And he began to help me trust. He started building a rapport, right? Or you get in a situation and you watch him come through and you're like, okay, that helps me, right? And here's what I learned. Write it down, because the next situation's coming up and you have to go back and go, okay, the Lord came through on His timing. I didn't like His timing, but He did come through. And you have to keep building that rapport. I write it down. So when I'm struggling in my faith and I'm like, is there even a God? Is He still up there? Has He abandoned us all? Did He go to an island and go on vacation? Man, no, hold up. No, hold up. Hold up. I go back and I look, and the sermon you have to preach is to yourself. And rest sometimes is where you remember, man, this joker has came through every time. Even when I built a grandest place and I burned it down, He came and fixed it, right? You ever had anything really nice and just tore it up? I've done that my whole life. But you know why? Because I didn't believe in having good things. I just didn't. Because anything that I had that was good, it was taken from me. That's just all I knew. Well, that wasn't the Lord. But the Lord showed me, hey, listen, I can build good things for you, and they can stay. And I was like, what? Are you serious? My friend came over last night, and I said, what's weird is the house we live in, I waited a month for us to be evicted. In my mind, I was like, one day they're going to come and say, you guys got to go. You know what that is? Poverty. Because I lived there forever. And when God gives you something good, it's hard. You don't know how to do it. But if you rest and you know who He is, and you start figuring out who you really are in Him, it's a little easier, But here's what I tried to do. I told this to Mickey a while back. I tried to work for God's blessing. Have y'all ever done that? It is terrible. It will kill you. Yeah. Your body will hurt and your family will hate you. Don't you know we got bills to pay? Some of the guys I work with, let me tell you something. They don't go home. They work. They work out of choice. Then they work because they have to. Then they work out of choice. And I'm like, my wife would kill me. She'd kill me. That's a long time. 24 hours is a long time to be at work. And if you're gone all week, man, there's some gaps in some family time. I'm just going to tell you. And I've done that before. In the past, I tried to work for that blessing. Nope. The kids were like, you could tell that they had conditioned themselves to know that I wasn't going to be there. And that's painful. But whenever I'm there and I'm like, man, they want a story, that lets me know that Dad's been home long enough for them to know that Dad's going to be here. We can depend on this time, and that's really important. They're not going to ask you for, oh man, Dad made a lot of money. It was great. They don't care. I can tell you all the people in my life, the only thing I look at is how much time they spent with me, how much time they played basketball with me, or, they're not, I never even thought about money. I didn't even consider that to be a factor when I was growing up, with them. If they spent time with me, I remember my uncle built me a tree house one time. It was the crappiest tree house. I mean, looking back, just dump. But I was so excited. He built this thing for me. And I was in the backyard, and I didn't know anything. I mean, we are in Cedar Grove, and this is where I stayed most of the time. Do you know how many times I could have got shot in the backyard back there? I didn't even think about it. I was like, hey, he's sitting up there smoking his Pall Malls, and I'm in this treehouse. This is great. I had no care, nothing. But it was just time that he could have been doing something else. He could have been watching Murder, She Wrote or Matlock, I watched In the Heat of the Night the other day. That's an old show. You ever watch that? I grew up on that. All right. So go rest. Well, yeah. Ask him what that means to you. That's what I read at the end. How will rest affect you today? If somebody asked you, hey, let's go here, let's go there, ask the Lord, what do you want to do? Are we going there? Or are me and you can go hang out? I didn't realize the Lord could hang out with me and my family. He creates that family time. He is family. He's our family. So let's think about that. Hope y'all don't get sick though. Lord help. Every time I hear rest, I'm like, oh God, no. Well, does anybody need prayer? Because we've got 10 minutes, and that's eternity sitting here. Okay. That thing is real. That night I seen it. It looked like a tornado. I was like, that whirlwind, Anybody else? Okay. Them are terrible. I used to get them all the time. Okay. All right. Let's do it.